Fashionably Opaque, The Secrets of Urban Outfitters. So, what's Urban? Urban is a portfolio of global consumer brands comprised of Urban Outfitters, Anthropologie, Free People Movement, Anthropologie Weddings, Terrain, Menus and Venues, and Newly.
Today we'll be focusing on Urban Outfitters and how their lack of supply chain transparency leaves us questioning what actually happens behind closed doors. So, what is supply chain transparency? Supply chain transparency is the degree to which a company or organization provides information about its supply chain, including information about labor practices, working conditions, and environmental impact. Unlike other fast fashion brands, Urban refuses to disclose any information about their supply chain. People assume fast fashion is cheap, but that is not always the case. It's easy to be deceived by higher prices and greenwashing.
With supply chain transparency also comes the conversation of ethics. Business ethics, according to Investopedia, is the moral principles, policies, and values that govern the way companies and individuals engage in business activity. Based on this definition, business ethics affects day-to-day business operations and how consumers make decisions. But how does this directly translate into supply chain transparency? An ethical supply chain looks like this. It focuses on protecting human rights and having no malpractices, and with this comes healthy working conditions and following regulatory compliance. An ethical supply chain also includes protecting the environment. Not only do these factors have an overall positive impact, they also build positive brand relationships, mitigate risks, and achieve long-term sustainability. These factors are definitely positive for a business's growth. However, consumers are also looking to shop ethically. Based on the 2023 Fashion Transparency Index, Urban Outfitters scored around 7% on the index. This means that Urban Outfitters publicly disclosed only 7% of the information that the index evaluates regarding their practices and policies. Urban being such a huge company with many different partners and distributors, it lacks significant transparency with its consumers. Urban has also been known for unethical labor practices. In 2015, CNBC published an article where it revealed Urban asking its salaried employees for weekend volunteers to help pick, pack, and prepare packages for wholesale and direct customers. The only catch was that it was be labeled as a non-paid team building activity. Urban Outfitters' lack of supply chain transparency and ethical practices, as highlighted by its low score on the Fashion Transparency Index, underscores the need for the company to prioritize accountability and sustainability, both to meet customer expectations and to foster long-term growth and brand trust.
Hi, my name is Claire Smythe, and I'm interviewing
Jada Smith.
So, Jada, how often do you shop at Urban?
I would say pretty often. Most of my wardrobe, I would think, is Urban.
If you had to guess 1 to 100, where do you think Urban would rank on their supply chain transparency?
I think that they're pretty good, so probably like 65%.
So they're actually ranked 7.6% from 2023. How do you feel?
Is that a bad number?
Urban refuses to disclose their suppliers list or any info on their supply chain workforce. Does it bother you that you don't know the conditions the workers are in, how they are treated, or where some of the materials are sourced from?
Yeah, that actually really bothers me.
After knowing all of this information, do you think you'd still shop at Urban again?
Sadly, no. It's not good.
Supply chain transparency also includes being environmentally conscious. Urban Outfitters has been accused of greenwashing, and before we dive deeper into this, let's cover what greenwashing is. According to the NRDC, greenwashing occurs when companies make false or misleading claims about the environmental benefits of their products or practices. It's a strategy that allows businesses to continue polluting while profiting off the good intentions of sustainably minded consumers. Urban Outfitters has faced numerous accusations of greenwashing. A report from News found that many of the brand's garments marketed as green or sustainable are made from unsustainable fabrics like organic cotton grown with pesticides and synthetic fertilizers, which are materials that harm wildlife and degrade soil. Urban Outfitters' parent company also refuses to disclose key information about its carbon emissions and supply chains, failing to publish the critical audit results. According to their 2021 to 2022 impact report, only a fraction of their materials meet responsible sourcing criteria. For example, as of February 2022, just 10% of their direct sourced raw materials were responsibly sourced. 7% of cotton was recycled or sustainable virgin fiber, and only 5% of polyester was recycled. The brand's renewal campaign claims to repurpose vintage materials sustainably, but investigations tell a different story. The Center for Environmental Health tested jewelry from this line and found that over half contained alarmingly high levels of toxic metals, up to 64% lead and 52% cadmium. Despite these findings, the brand continues to market these products as upcycled and sustainable, a clear case of greenwashing. Even the fabrics Urban Outfitters uses raises concern. Only 50% of their direct source fabrics meet the OEKO Tech Standard 100, a certification ensuring materials are tested for harmful substances and safe for people and the planet. That means half of their materials haven't undergone even these basic safety tests, raising the question, shouldn't this be the bare minimum?
Can you tell us your name?
Anonymous Urban Outfitters employee.
So how long have you been working at Urban?
About like a year and a half at this point.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you know about how Urban Renewal sources its textiles?
I know we have some flannels and kind of boxer style shorts that have fabrics that we've seen in other garments that have come into our shipment. There also are some just straight up vintage clothes. We have a lot of sweaters that are random vintage brands that I'm assuming are thrifted by someone. I don't know, that part's very strange to me. Where does vintage clothes that are not Urban branded at all, they're just these random things that we're reselling essentially, where do they come from? All of the stores have them, but there's millions of stores in the US, so how are they thrifting that amount of vintage clothing and reselling it?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how sustainable do you think Urban Outfitters really is?
4, not breaking a 5. We're getting halfway there. There's obviously efforts that they're at least trying to make or trying to appear to make to become more sustainable or to appear more sustainable, but we get quite a bit of shipment and it's definitely overproduction to its max.
What steps do you think Urban can take to improve their sustainability?
Apart from slashing production, which I feel is kind of an unrealistic step that I can ask a large company like that to take, I feel the only thing that I see that's realistic would be trying to alter some of their fiber counts and their materials that they use to make garments. A lot of what we have is polyester and plastic synthetic based, so.
The fashion industry thrives on consumer choices, but with that power comes responsibility. Our proposed solution is to encourage shoppers to research the brands we support, and this can be done by seeking out transparency reports and ethical certifications. It's time to go beyond the labels and demand real answers about where our clothes come from and how they're made. Social media has become a powerful tool for accountability. By calling out brands and spreading awareness, we can amplify the demand for change. Advocacy is a key part of this movement. Signing petitions and joining campaigns sends a clear message. Consumers care about the people who are making their clothes, the environment, and a fairer future. Together, through education, legislation, and collective action, we can create a fashion industry that isn't just about looking good, but doing good.
These gaps in accountability have real-world consequences: exploited workers, damaged ecosystems, and misled consumers. But change is possible. It starts with us, researching brands, raising awareness, and demanding stronger laws for transparency. With their resources, brands like Urban Outfitters could lead the way towards ethical fashion. The real question is, will they? Transparency isn't optional, it's the future of fashion.